going live on the live stream for documentation purposes.
Okay.
So just let me know if there's anything there, and I also made some notes. I can give you guys.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm still getting set up, so I'll just continue. I'll just mute. That would be good. You're clanking around. So are you going to scribe, Jay? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, we can both take some
Both
notes.
do it?
I'll definitely help for sure.
Okay.
We'll see if other people jump on. Water planning group starts now. Oops. Water planning group starts now. Okay, and maybe send out a quick email too. I might do that over here.
Yeah, hopefully people come on. It was kind of a little late in organizing it.
Yes, the early late phenomena.
Which is
scheduling too early and reminding too late.
Yeah. How have the other sessions gone?
Good. I slept through one of them, and it's been just the whole all night thing is a lot, but it's we accomplished what we set out to do, which is good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, if it's just the three of us, we could do updates and planning for the next session, and then just go from there. So
yeah. Glow said she thought she'd be on, where she was asking when it was and all that.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, Dana.
Hi,
Yay.
Dana.
Hi. Hi, Dana. We're just waiting a few minutes for people to gather.
Okay. I'm going to turn off my video briefly because my computer is doing a lot of things.
Okay. Unauthorized behavior.
Can I just ask you, since Donnelly is here too, and do you hear, like, when I speak, or even when I just have my microphone on, do you hear like a swishy noise in the background? Do you hear any kind of like background sound that is with my voice?
When you're speaking, no, not really.
No? Okay, interesting. Because when I make recordings on Zoom with this camera, I've noticed this sort of like that, like in the background, and that's not satisfactory to me. And I'm just when I hear that on the recordings, I'm like, why is it making that kind of background noise? And I actually sent a recording to Donalea to see if she heard it, because we were discussing webcams. But so you're not hearing anything? It comes up pretty clear to you?
Yeah, it sounds clear to me.
Okay. You don't have any noise that I hear. It's not your concern.
I have a fan going, so that's good.
Right. I mean, I don't hear any background noise with your voice, so I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. I'm gonna check with Glow and see if she's coming. Alrighty. Here we are again. The core. We can wait a minute more maybe.
I'll see if I can send out an email. Find the previous one. Water planning group meeting.
Okay. Leah's settled herself. Dinley, I'm wondering if you want to bring us into a short resonant meditation. Are you interested in that? I'm not hearing you. It doesn't show you're on mute. Maybe it's maybe your mic is muted. Nothing. Maybe take your mic out and see if it works. Nothing yet. Hey, go out and come back in.
The love of Zoom. Getting little technical difficulties.
Yeah, and it seems completely random why one person does and another person doesn't, and then suddenly they're fixed and then they're not.
Zoom silliness.
Well, it's amazing how Zoom's coverage of the world has increased with COVID so incredibly. We're perfectly poised for this. Hello,
It
Mia.
is pretty unbelievable indeed. Hey.
Morning. Morning.
Morning. Good to see you. It's like nice morning light there.
Yes, the sun's just coming up over the trees, so it's a little bit breezy, but it's still all good. All good. Nice to see you.
We're waiting for
Yeah, Danielia was just here, and then her sound stopped working, and she was just a mime for a little while, and so we are. And she was just about to get us started with, a guided meditation and connection. So
we're waiting for her to come back in.
Yeah, very good.
Aloha. It's the full moon today too. It was just a full moon, like 2 hours ago was the peak of the full moon. So it's
Yes.
the full moon today.
A few hours ago.
Amplifies everything that I guess Jay knows all of that and everything, and all the movements that amplifies everything.
Yeah, it's kind of like a combined Mars and full moon all together, and then the Mercury session's a few days too. But it's pretty cool.
Jim. Hello, Jim. Great to see you.
What's Mars doing exactly?
I believe it's the time when Mars is closest to the sun.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
the Mars aphelion, from what I understand. So, yeah.
All right.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can
Yeah.
hear you now. Excellent. All right. We're here.
Okay. Beloved Mother, Father, God, Creator, Great Spirit, great host of ascended masters, great angelic host, beloved Gaia, Mother Earth, sacred fire, precious water, nourishing air, and great and mysterious ether. We give thanks for this day. We give thanks for the precious breath of life that allows us to connect with each other, to communicate, to express our love, our genius, and our creativity with each other. We invite you, beloved water, sacred being, the beginning and the end of all life here on our planet. We welcome you to our meeting today. We invite you into full conscious collaboration with us in our desire to restore health and harmony and a thriving life system for everyone on Earth, all beings. We invite you to connect and communicate with us through words if you can, but images, sensations, intuitive knowings and promptings are very welcome as well. If these are something you send through one of us, and or we welcome your voice directly as it is relevant, as you have something relevant to offer. We give thanks to you and all the forms that you take on our planet for the great gift of life. May we move forward together from this in partnership and creative inspiration. And so we are here in the water field together. Let us begin.
Hello, Tess. A new friend.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Wonderful.
Thanks for inviting me to this. I'm really blessed to be here.
I'm really made it.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw the email just in time.
Beautiful. Kind of open to the format here.
Maybe some check-ins.
Crazy week, at least I have. Yeah, we can do check-ins. I'll start. I'm in the South Yuba watershed in Northern California, and just a short distance from my home watershed of Lake Tahoe, Dawa'aga, in the land of the Washishu, and Yuba is the land of the Nisenan. And I'm co-creator of Loving Waters, which is a growing community of water stewards, and working on various initiatives to remind humanity of our sacred relationship with water and our sacred responsibility to water as stewards. So, yeah, that's good for now, I think. Maybe we'll just make introductions first, and then we can go around again with updates. Blessing bowl is in the center. Pick it up and give your introduction.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Danalia Castell. I'm currently on the ancestral lands of the Lheidli T'enneh in northern British Columbia, Canada. My river is Shtako, Fraser River, and I am in the Fraser River watershed. I'm associated, founded the Water Gratitude Project in 2000 and also the Listening Earth Lodge just last year, bringing water, trees, and people together in consciousness and in consultation. Happy to be here.
Aloha, my name is Dana. I think you all know me. I'm in Henderson, and Lake Mead is, I believe, our nearest largest body of water, although I feel connected with many waters all over the planet. And my passion is understanding the deeper, multidimensional nature of water. Aloha, my name is Dana. I think you all know me. I'm in Henderson,
So I'll go next. So I'm Mea Voce, and I'm here representing Hawaii. So aloha to everyone. I'm here on the Big Island, where the sun is just coming up over the trees. So it's a beautiful morning. So I'd like to call in the Pacific Ocean because that's what's surrounding us right now. Yes, and so messages from there, and dolphin energy is coming very strongly this morning. So I just add that to our circle. And I just have to share, if I need to duck out, for my daughter is not feeling well this morning, so I just put her in a room and I said, Mommy's got work to do, but I might have to duck out just briefly. So just adding that. But aloha and blessings.
I can go next. I'm Jay. I'm got my phone going on with the audio as well, just to make sure it's working. And I am doing pretty well. I'm here near the San Francisco Creek, and I also connect very deeply with the Monterey Bay, and just the whole area along the coast and the beaches there. And yeah, just looking forward to just learning all about the abundance and beauty of this whole water movement and what's been going on. I know there's so much, and I also have been thinking a lot about different structures and ideas that if we get to that we can share, and just continuing the evolution. Check.
Jim Greywolf, from many different places, currently in Pennsylvania. I'm right now living just above the Chesapeake, so I'm near the confluence of the Conowingo and the Susquehanna, which then flows into the Chesapeake, the northern Chesapeake. Playing a lot of roles with water for a long time. Mostly recently activists, Standing Rock and Water is Life. And now I've shifted more back into education, working with indigenous elders and with youth to bring their voices into the water movement and hear them. And more of them are showing up, so it's been powerful. Stick in the middle, sorry.
I can go next. So my name is Tess. I'm originally from South Africa, but I am living in California. I've been here for 2 years. I'm based in the same spot as Elizabeth, Nevada City. So the South Yuba is my watershed. I'm currently working on a water protector tour, which is a coalition between nonprofits and indigenous people to raise awareness about the current issues that are facing our Sacramento watershed, especially what's happening at Mount Shasta, because it's the headwaters and the root chakra of the world, and the waters there are super sacred, and they're being tainted and they're being privatized by a company called Crystal Geyser. So we're actually planning an action on the 26th of September to get thousands of people to go up to Shasta and to protest about this, about what's going on, and to raise awareness and to get people mobilized. We're doing an event on the 16th of August, which will be a virtual online event. We've got some big artists playing, and we're getting people to do workshops. So I would love, actually, if any of you here today would love to do a presentation about the project you're working on, and you'd like to, it's going to be live streamed globally to thousands of people. So it'll be a really great way to raise awareness about your project and just to get people to know about what's going on about our waters. I've already got Elizabeth and Dana doing a presentation, which I'm still going to talk with them about. But yeah, I'd love to, if any of you are interested, I'd love to get in touch with you afterwards. And I'm super blessed to be here. And it was very synchronistic that I met Elizabeth. So grateful and blessed to all of you. Thank you all for your service and for everything you're doing for the waters. Mahalo.
Thank you, Tess. Thank you. Hang on.
Hey, Elizabeth, I noticed this is so far not being recorded, so if you do want to record it, just sending that out there.
I'll hit the button. Somehow I just always assume it's being recorded.
Yeah, and I'm also... Oh.
Elizabeth, you can actually make a setting in Zoom that will do that.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also am working on getting it on it's on the Mars.unity.fun website for live broadcasting, and then also we can add it to the water.unity.fun. So I put it in the notes, but if you're interested in adding other events to the water calendar, we can do that as well, to just try to connect all the water.
Website.
Which is water.unity.fun. I can also link that there. And if anything's not there, the whole goal is that it's all supposed to be there. So we can add anything that we want to add. But that's one option. And then there's also the email Google group. But again, that's like the first link, which would be just the email Google group there.
So just send them that email address and then they can join it somehow?
There's a link to the email Google group, which is they can do that, and I'll try to make it the first link on the website so that it's as simple as possible. And then if we want to add any events or activities into the calendar, the goal is just to make sure that there's one place on the internet with all of the water activities, and so it's like a one-stop shop to connect together with the whole water movement. Is the goal of the website, yeah.
That are also protecting water. We have this Aguas Cristalinas and another organization I just heard of a few minutes ago. So they're also very interested in promoting and protecting the water here on the valley in Costa Rica. Amazing to have the support of these different organizations and wanting to figure out how we can kind of bridge these worlds together. And this workshop day is called Weaving Wisdom, so it's very magical.
Beautiful, thank you. Everyone says hello.
Hi.
Who's everyone?
Everyone is Jay, myself, Maya, Dalia, Jim, Dana, and Tess showed up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I've been telling everyone about Mount Shasta, so everyone's wanting to support any media that we want to create for Mount Shasta too. So
Beautiful.
It's pressing times.
Yes, it is. So we're going to move into updates, I guess, in terms of what everybody's doing. So a lot of my energy has been connecting with Glow and the networks that she's connected with, and very dynamic group of youngers, as I call them, in Costa Rica and also just all over the world. So a lot of people really excited and motivated to start figuring out this challenge we have with our water, and ready to commit. So I've been working on the Foundation Aisha. We were ready to roll with it with 20 water filters to be get the training going for these water filters just before COVID hit. So it was put on a shelf, and now the travel restrictions in Guinea have been lifted. And so we're beginning to move forward. And we're also talking about a pure water tour as a funding engine for these types of watershed wisdom councils and the associated kiosks, specifically in third world countries, that can both be a training education center, access to water filters and other innovative technology. And as well, hand washing stations and general sort of whole systems sustainability ethos in terms of really helping people from the roots up in a decentralized self-organizing fashion. So we're beginning to create our first proof of concept in the field Watershed Wisdom Council in Guinea, West Africa, and that's very exciting. So that's my update for now.
Okay, I'll share something. Let's see, I'll turn on my... I gave a session at the water sessions, the water open space sessions in conjunction with the World Water Law that were being organized by Jan and Shelley. And that was a pretty big event. And they had two different sessions at different times of the day. And in the one that I was at, and Elizabeth and Danilea, I think Maya was there too. And maybe Jim was there too. Yeah, Jim was there too. A lot of us were there. Anyway, so at that one, a whole bunch of people showed up. I don't know, 80 or something. And there were people from South America, a lot of people from South America doing their water network things. I gave a session on the energetic and multidimensional nature of water, and it was really just kind of to introduce the topic and sort of gauge interest and put it out there. I didn't have a lot of time to, well, I talked a little bit about my own experience and background with that, but there was other content that I hoped to share, but there just wasn't time because I wanted to give everybody space to share. And what I'm hoping to follow up with from that is to start organizing sessions, like water sessions, with a focus group that wants to come together to really bring in collective intelligence on that topic, on the energetic and multidimensional nature of water. So water as a communicator of energetic patterns of information, essentially, and how that might work at all different levels of scale. So that's really my passion. And like I was saying in an email to Tess last night, I consider myself more of a water explorer than a water activist. My role, my mission here is to be more of a water explorer in that vein of looking at the energetic aspects of water. So I'll probably won't be taking a front seat on the activist activity so much because I want to focus on this other domain and represent that. So just putting that out there and also once I start having these sessions, like I would say the first one I had was for my birthday when I had a water party, and then I had the one at the open space, and now I'm going to start to organize others, like regular meetings, and hopefully with a group that's committed to doing some focused study of this and focused intuitive exploration and other exploration. So I'll put that out there. Those are coming up. Also, I don't know if this is relevant, but it's Global Coherence Month. We just had Global Coherence Day, and the whole month of August is Global Coherence Month. And there's a huge amount of energy and support for that global coherence wave right now. And as part of the conversation that I'm part of, this ongoing interactive space called The Conversation, I'm going to be offering coherence-themed sessions that I'm going to be calling Coherence Infusions, probably twice a week. I'm thinking Tuesdays and Thursdays, and where we can contribute to this global wave of coherence that is going on the planet, especially through this month of August. And I'm thinking with that, coupled with the other initiatives and groups that are coming together on different days, will be contributing to almost creating a continuous wave of coherence going on the planet. So that will be in conjunction with The Conversation. And once those sessions are scheduled, they'll be on the website of The Conversation. And I'll put that link to The Conversation in the chat. The Conversation is like an interactive space for collective intelligence. And its overall vision is saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. And myself and Peter Melton and Jamin Shively are some of the organizers of that space, and there's others that are contributing as well. So, and it's aiming to be, it's right now daily, like every single day, and a good part of the evening, and it's aiming to be a 24/7 forum. So just where people can come at any time and engage in meaningful conversation about whatever it is that they're passionate about, with this overall broader vision of helping the planet. So I'll put that in the chat.
I can go next. Blessings, everyone. Last weekend was a huge alchemical experience for me personally. As some of you already know, I'm an eco-spiritual artist and musician, and although I've been a frontline activist and then longtime ceremonialist, all of that aspects of me seem to be coming back together, meaning that the spiritual and the physical are now all weaving together with the emotional and mental. And so what was clear for me last weekend was around the world water law and how I might choose to support it from my deepest authentic truth of who I am. And it became very, very clear that I desire that the world water law is something that I needed to explore from inside myself. And and what was clear is that we need all approaches, all aspects, all ways of moving this forward, this concept even of having a world water law in our world. So what was very interesting for me was that the people who chose to come to the breakout group that I hosted, were also people for whom their personal one-on-one private relationship with water was where they lived. And so I saw that there are others who desire to live this harmony with water. And so what I needed to do myself is to set up my Zoom room space to begin sharing online explorations that can be both physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual on 4 questions. And in this case, for the example, the questions were, I am a water body. So I would be modeling the exploration of that physically in movement and sound. I am a water body. I live in a world with a water law. So again, remember, this is a creative exploration coming from inside. The third one is, what if the world water law walks around inside of me? And an exploration from that lens. And then the last one, these again, explorations, I am the world water law. And so from these places, the exploration places, of course, these natural questions come. What does my life look like? How do I feel when I wake up in the morning? Who am I working with? So it's that idea of the world water law, or living in a world where we're in harmony, living harmony with water, comes from inside of us. And it comes from our own, that each of us has a unique, individual, private, personal relationship with water that's already there. And so these questions are simply ways to wake up inside our water bond and see how that influences the choices we make in our day-to-day. The other piece for me personally, just personally as an artist, is how much sound weaving, vibrational medicine is my contribution, my personal contribution as an artist, as a human being working towards harmony on earth. And so just as in all the work I do with my clients and people, I'm about empowering their voice. For me, I'm waking up inside the fact that I required to be bringing mine forward too. And so that was a bit of there's some fear and some other things that I have worked through. And so Dana, I was very excited when you were talking about the conversation and that forum, because one of the other things that came through for me was to be doing like morning attunements with, humming, toning, and chanting. And there would be some aspect of that where we would be directing our sound towards specific situations, people, waters on the earth. So I might contact you directly to talk a little bit more about whether or not the conversation space might be a suitable location for this. The other thing is that I've been guided to do is to do a series. And Elizabeth and I found this out yesterday, that this page has appeared in several of our consciousnesses, to do short 5-minute videos on topics related to water. As many of you know, I've spent 11 years in apprenticeship with water and specific bodies of water and elder trees on our planet. And I'm currently carrying this, I don't know what to call it. It's like a library of information, knowledge, water, wisdom, and ways that I have come from inside the consciousness of water. And I've been attempting to write a book, but somehow that static nature of the information hasn't called it forth. However, I feel as if I could start
sharing, streaming forth information on topics like the water bond, the water field, water sovereignty, water gratitude, water partnership, all these things. And these are just stories, music, and experiences that have come from this direct study with bodies of water. So I'm again gathering my courage and will be moving forward with one by one of creating these vignettes to be able to be shared. The other thing I would like to share, again, this is from my artist space, is that I've begun doing sessions one-on-one with people, taking them into what I'm now calling the water field. And some of the challenge for me to share this 11-year apprenticeship is that there just hasn't been a language to even talk about this kind of actual direct partnership with a body of water, the same way that we have relationships human to human. But in conversations with Elizabeth, where we would take ourselves into the water field, this term emerged. And what I understand, the water field is always here. It's inside of us, it's outside of us, it is us, we are it. And I think we are waking up the water field. We do wake it up. So what I've been doing is a series of individual sessions with people, and I offer that to any of you here too, in which we go into the water field. And the ideal situation is you have a question that you just have not been able to resolve for yourself. And it's not a casual experience, so it's if the stakes are high for you, it seems to then the water field takes you where you need to go to receive the insight that you require. So the water sessions in the water field are what I'm being asked to offer out. And the other thing is that this, in line with this, we are the water law. We are is my desire to help facilitate a pilot water council, a pilot water council. And water council for me means who sits at the energetic table is both us, water bodies, human water bodies, as well as other water bodies that we would bring in, that we invoke and call in individually to the table. So this water council will be very, very creative, very flexible. Its intention is to help facilitate that the individual genius of our own relationship with water, that we get to bring that forward. Like in Elizabeth's email saying, what is our piece? What is our contribution? So that would be the intention. And we would be looking, inviting the individuals who are part of that to be allowing themselves to be informed by the water field that they live in and by the bodies of water that are near them, and really tracking what changes in your life when you're in living conscious, continuous dialogue communication with water in your personal life, your work life, your community, your watershed, your government, anywhere that you're feeling called to ripple out. So I have a small group of names of people who are interested in being part of this sort of thing. And then yesterday, Elizabeth and I were talking again and just really seeing this complementarity that we have with the watershed wisdom councils that she's been envisioning, the earth chorus and the water councils that I've been envisioning. And so this approach of the outer water and inner water, like that we need all of it. And so it's exciting to partner, to begin to discuss a partnership in this way. And she may say Elizabeth may say more about this. So I think that's all I have for now, other than to say the one personal learning that I have that has happened for me that's made a huge difference. As some of you know, more of my teamwork has been nature beings and nature elders, not humans. And I've come forward now because I've been guided. It's time now to join with my human brothers and sisters, my human bodies of water. And I was one of the, because my background is in law, I am a person that that it feels very strongly in the validity of literal language, that language creates. And I couldn't resolve in myself the fact that the World Water Law is called a law, but it's not drafted as a law. It's not drafted like a legal law. And I was tussling inside myself whether I want to support something that actually doesn't say what I believe it is, you know, as a declaration of protection rather than anyway. So I was having all these mental things going on and noticing how I was polarizing. And water's lessons and teachings and guidance for me is always about stay and come into harmony. Stay and come into harmony instead of separate from something that doesn't fit for me and find somewhere else that does. And so when I decided that I wasn't going to support the World Water Law, and then I got off the call with the founders, and then I checked into my own water field with water, and I checked, am I meant to support this and to continue to stay connected? And unequivocally, I heard yes. And I was like, okay, what the heck do I know, right? What the heck do I know? Just surrender. And so what's been beautiful is as I've decided to support it and be myself. And so what was beautiful is that offer a breakout group in choosing and knowing that I'm experiential and in an open space is more traditionally talk. Last Saturday night, I had that experience where I gave birth to these 4 questions that I now see are a way that I can support a world with a water law, And even that World Water Law, those 3 words are powerful. And everyone is going to always define them as they see it. Even if we're reading the same words in English, we're all going to have our own perspective. So it was a beautiful, so then I see my way forward. I see my contribution. And I would never have made it there if I'd stopped at the point where it's like, this is not a law. How can, blah, blah, blah. So cancel clear all that polarization. And, I just want to honor great gratitude to water and its teachings and its patience with me to learn how to be inclusive, to learn how to operate and function in harmony, which is our way forward into greater and greater thriving and life. So just want to acknowledge my teachers and all of my human teachers also who are following their path, their way of doing it. And yes, that's what we need. Every single relationship that we have with water, bring it forward in whatever way you are meant to do it. Yeah, and love each other along the way. So thank you.
Thank you, Garulia. We have Az, if you want to present yourself. So we're just giving updates into how we're currently expressing our relationship with water. And if you just want to listen, that's fine as well. But we'd love to hear your voice at least. Does somebody else want to jump in with Albina? Beautiful. Does anyone else want? Mayan?
Yeah, I'd like to just share a few words in this space. There's just so much going on. Last week was such a flurry of connections, beautiful connections, but I'm really feeling like there's no thought in it. It's just things are just happening. Things are unfolding. Things are opening up. So I had a beautiful session with Elizabeth. I was in your breakout session, and that was a wonderful connection, I thought, with grounding water and talking about how we can create it as a source of education. And that word has stuck with me over the week. So I'll share with you my new project. But later in the week, I had yet another wonderful connection with someone else from that event. I forget what it was called. And we spoke on the phone for over 2 hours, and it was as if we just walked into step. It was a young woman, water lady. She was calling herself, and she's creating water sanctuaries. If you recall, she was she was out in Appalachia, and of course I'm here in Hawaii, and we were talking about our different projects, and they're so in sync. So it looks like our projects will meld energies and thus double fold. And I'm just getting goosebumps because it was just a beautiful conversation. It went all places. It's a beautiful conversation. It flowed like water. No effort at all. Before we looked at the clock, it literally 2.5 hours had flown by. So, but I wanted to share with the group, and I had shared with you, Elizabeth, that last week only, something that had been bubbling within me is to create my own temple space and a healing space. My side comes from a side of spirit, spirituality, and I also had shared with you, and I share with the group, that walking with water is really a new journey for me. I'm all about the green and the goddess, and walking with the trees, as Denalia had mentioned, and honoring the ancestors of the land that I'm on. And so in Sydney, my business was Green Goddess Retreats, and taking women out into the bush and opening their heart space to wisdom, and reconnecting to their own inner nature. And it was just a beautiful experience. But over this weekend, I was sitting, and I have very much put into little boxes the different elements of water and air and earth and fire. And this weekend, my husband, who I had shared with some of you, had passed last year, was killed in an accident. I was sitting here and I could hear his voice as loud as day in my mind, and he said, "But water isn't everything, Mia." He said, "So just get out of that box." He goes, "Water is everything." And I got the shivers again, and it was like everything just melded together, and the energy of water and the voice of water rose up, and I said, "Oh, I get it." So thank you to Pete for offering those words of wisdom and for breaking those barriers, because I always have just thought of myself as the green goddess and working with herbal medicine, that direction. But water has been speaking, and I'm here again in this group and feel very, very guided to be here. So the project I started this week, which now is birthed, is I have opened the temple space. It's called the Temple of the Loving Heart, because what comes through to me is that wisdom, as Dana, my heart sister, knows, comes through your heart space. And I'd like to reconnect everyone to that space. But part of this temple work is opening space and holding it for water. So right now, every Wednesday on my Facebook, I'm opening the space for water, the wisdom of water, educating people about water, and any of your groups, anything that's going on, I open that space as well to share that with the world. So that's what's just born. I'm working on the website, and I will be looking for a property somewhere here in Hawaii. I feel very strongly to be here, that it would be an actual physical temple space and a sanctuary for people to come and learn about water and to be in that healing energy. So that's all been birthed this week, just in 7 days. So we'll see what happens next. So thank you. Blessing.
My goodness. Yeah. Jim or Bina or Tess, you want to share your what you've been up to since we last were on the call?
Sure. Well, I kind of shared. I've been in contact with wisdom circles of elders from 2 from Australia, 1 from New Zealand, 1 from Africa, 1 from India, and some individuals as well. And since I'm able to get on the Facebook again, at least in a limited way. I reconnected with a bunch of the youth movement. So I'm just inviting everyone to come together. We hope to have some large elder and youth wisdom circles soon. And at least one will be around water and include the World Water Law, since I'm working pretty heavily with Jan and Shelley on that. Other than that, I'm doing a lot of my spiritual work because people are asking me for it again. And I mean, it's needed right now. So I'm sharing things out. The White Otter Academy I started a couple months ago. I get more and more requests to do things, to share things. So I'm trying to do that as best I can. We're right in the middle of the chaos now, so anything that any of us can put in there that we've learned or has been gifted to us, now's the time to do it. So I'm making sure I spend some time each week, actually some time each day on that. I'm watching a lot of people leave and deciding they need to be in the spirit realm right now, of all ages and that's fine. But a lot of others are staying, especially some who are really challenged physically and emotionally, but still they're staying because they know they have something to finish. And to me, I incorporate water into all of this because water is our great cleansing medium. That's why I got involved with water so many years ago. I don't even want to think about it. So yeah, water is big. Tonight is full moon. It's named different things in different parts of the world this time. So it's full moon sturgeon, it's full moon corn, it's whatever you want it to be. I'm going to be doing some ceremony tonight with some other elders around the globe, and we're bringing water into that as well. So I'm just staying flexible right now, I guess is the key, and I'll continue to do that. And I'll stay a little bit longer as long as I can, then I'm off to another. So I'm glad you hit the recording button, Elizabeth. Thank you. Thank you all.
Well, I am down to go next. Can you guys hear me? So I have, in my perspective, not worked on water since our last session, but at the same time, everything is related to water. So, was it not working with water? I don't know about that, but in terms of focusing, and I really, really, really wanted to go to the World Water Law, but the roll of the dice and all the things that went on, it just was not possible in my alignment and grounding and breathing and taking care of myself and all of the responsibilities that I have to many other people. So where my mind is right now is a couple things. One is sensing the clear need and interest for, how would you say, just like incremental structure, right? We don't need to like build this huge, massive organization, but we can think about all the possible visions. But I feel like what we could do is add something simple like a staffing group / network organizing group, because they're on the staffing level, there's clear that if we invited people to a session kind of between the main water planning groups and then the next one, to just make sure that we're sending out emails, that we're updating the calendar, that there's building some clarity in how things kind of fit together, because that is an ongoing evolution. This is like, wow, so much is going on. It's pretty beautiful and heartfelt, and I know it's just the tip of the iceberg. This is just what has been able to be described in a half an hour. So there's so much more. So with that said, like if we decide to do the series session, which is actually in alignment with this big event that's going on with Mount Shasta, so the series session is the next planetary level. It happens once every 2 years, and it's August 17th, 16th, 17th, 18th. So that could potentially be another possible time that we could do a water planning group in alignment with the Shasta activities and other things going on. And then that would mean that at about a week from now, maybe we should do just a staff call, just invite anyone who wants to talk about logistics, kind of like staff logistics of communications. So that would be my recommendation. And I'm definitely committed to helping with logistics. Obviously, I've been working really hard on it all. From there, so that would be at least 2 scheduled sessions in relationship to just this structure. From there, we can look out further. I mean, there's the Earth sessions, there's the other sessions. If we wanted to schedule out further on the planetary sessions, that's up to people who want to do it. In terms of going back to our last session, and what really got me excited and just kind of connecting the dots from where we were to where we are now, I did some social shooting and connection in meditation with the water bodies that I am associating with. And also for me, there's three primary ideas that are circulating. So there's Danielia's, very clear, vision of a watershed council, Wisdom Watershed Council. And I would want to encourage you to schedule it and do it and practice it, as a test drive, but also put it in writing, and some of the ideas so we could see it in a written structure. And then also there's ideas of somewhat what Elizabeth was talking about, of how these local watershed councils, which I believe what Daniele is talking about is not only local, that there's other things going on there. And so there's also these ideas of the local watershed councils that can then connect through, a watershed and the riverways, and as they kind of come to connection. So those are two parts. And then this third part that I was thinking about is the concept of a global, for me everything's global, but a global water parliament. So in terms of in terms of like grounding into that, and for me, universal, solar system, galactic, universal water parliaments, whatever, the same difference. But in the context of just a global water parliament and sinking into that, for me it is holographic in nature, which can be very difficult to describe. But I'm just gonna go through the simple parts and then kind of stick the holographic on top of it. So the idea of, similar to what Elizabeth was talking about, was that it would be each water body, which would represent, just to back up. The assumption is already that each water body has its own Wisdom Water Council, or a vision of its empowerment to have a Wisdom Water Council. So that's just inherent in the model. So I'm just going to skip that part, right? So Wisdom Water Council is automatic, right? So, and we can help build that out, how all that all is going to evolve, and that's a whole other thing. But so then each water body in and of itself, whether it's a river, a stream, a lake, any particular type of water body is completely accable. It could be aquifers, it could be underground water, right? It would represent itself, both energetically and through human means, to the closest, what I would call, primary watershed or primary river watershed. And the reason why it would be a river is because the rivers flow, and it connects everything. So individual water bodies don't necessarily connect and flow with the entire globe, but they do technically, but they would connect to whatever's the closest fully functioning river flowing. And then those rivers would all connect into the to where they connect to a bay or some sort of coastal area. And then once you hit a coastal area, all the coastal areas would have representations into the oceans. And so then you would have all the different oceans, and that would basically, then the oceans would represent to the planet, and altogether you end up with the primary oceans and continental shells as globally represented and understood and connected, and exploring and feeling how those different water bodies all connect and flow together and interrelate to each other. So that's sort of the general idea. The idea is how to keep it really, really simple, flexible, and also completely open to allow for it to because we don't even know how it's going to sync and connect in with other existing systems. And the idea is that it would give a space for both water, non-humans, and humans all to have voices. So there's three key, and this is where you get into some of the holographic nature. There's water gets a voice, and towards sovereignty. Non-humans get a voice towards sovereignty and their need for water and pure water, and then also the humans are getting a voice. So lastly, in terms of the holographic nature of this modeling, for me, it can all exist simultaneously. So what that means is that at every level, you have a direct representation, but then automatically whoever's present can represent that which is not, physically embodied in a human representative, right? Because we can consciously connect to gaps and spaces in the systems, especially through the idea of ocean, general, in how the oceans connect into the different rivers and waterways. So you can do it at a large scale. So in that context, it's like both at the regional level and global level, you can immediately represent the whole picture and each region in different parts with whoever's present. right? And then slowly fill in the gaps over time to just allow for the organic evolution, knowing that the more direct representation is, the more powerful the decision. So yeah, so that's sort of the ideas that I've been flowing through, utilizing, my decades of work with the, Unity methodologies that I'm working with, and then how would we apply that to water, and everything I've learned from you guys. So I have some of that in simple forms in writing, but I highly encourage other people to write their ideas of possible structures, and then it could take us months, it could be another half a year, but eventually pulling it all together, because I feel like this component is not the whole thing. It's just not, it's in and of itself, it's not enough. It needs to be part of something bigger, like that we're connecting all the dots together. Yeah, check.
Thank you, Jay. You saved me a lot of talk. you basically laid it out really nicely. So you were talking, I was not typing, but we have it recorded. So
well,
but it's
I think Albina's helping some with the typing too. Plus, I have this all written out from before as well. Check.
Excellent. So Albina, would you like to speak to the group and presence yourself, or?
Yeah, hi. Sorry I joined in late, like 45 minutes late, but I'm happy to be part of the water planning session. Since last time, I haven't done anything much on the water, but water is part of life. So we are taking water, we are drinking water, cooking with water. So water is part of my life, and I appreciate the meetings and all the discussions about water. So I'm just here to learn more about the water planning and all the presentations. Thank you.
Do you remember, could you tell us your closest water body for the group?
It's the Lake Victoria.
Yeah.
Surrounding 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania.
And which country are you in, Albina?
Kenya.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, so I have started to pull my years of this vision rolling around in my psyche into paper as well. So I think that I feel that that's a good next step, is to just start putting things down on paper, all of us. And one of the things I feel it's important for us to acknowledge is that this group that is consistently meeting is already in a way a core council, and just really want to acknowledge that. And if you're hesitant or you don't see yourself in that, then let's open up that conversation. I'm having a weekly water conversation on the connection field, which is almost 24-hour conversation, similar to the conversation, but it's more structured, and that every hour there's a host rotates and they present their offering, but it's very much in the field and coming into resonance with the field, and it's beautiful, and everyone's invited. I've put the link, you just need to register. So in all of these circles, everybody's saying, yes, we understand, we're getting it, it's coming in, we're getting that relationship with water, and now the next step is how do we move forward from here? And it's a human eons old challenge as to how we can inspire, organize, and mobilize people to work coherently and consistently towards this common goal of returning our sovereignty and our original blueprint to water, and the original rights to water, sort of the original law, because really water is our original water law, right? You face a flood or a fire, all these things, the law of water supersedes pretty much everything else, and in not just creation, but in the processing of life turning over and over and over and over. And I feel that the watershed wisdom councils are our next best step in terms of coming up with a core template. And part of that, and Denali and I were speaking, is getting people to almost going through a decontamination process of the way we've been taught that water is a resource, and changing some of that languaging that water is source, right? And so a process that, if sort of just giving opportunities for this processing from the minute people first hear about it to them actually serving on a watershed wisdom council. And how do we bring people in and interweave people to this water-centered ethos in a way that in a way that really furthers the water's imperative of balance. And so I'm wanting to gather. This whole month, really, since we first connected with the World Unity Water Day open space until now, for me, my motivation is really to start making tangible these impulses that are coming, I believe, coming from water itself, in terms of how we function organizationally, in terms of really affecting beneficial change on the planet, within our water systems, within our own bodies, knowing, as Denali says, it's an inside job for all of us. Essentially, it has to be. We have to make these shifts from the inside, which is where the temples of where Maya's temple comes in, and Dana's energetic work comes in, and it's all needed. We need it all. We need all this information, and we just keep building this library. But it needs a degree of curating, right? In terms of, if we have videos, where are they going to be? Where do they live? How are they organized? And Glow and I are also working on these 3 to 5 minute vignettes specific to solutions to the pollution, the plastic pollution, and coming to zero waste, and supporting local creation of soap, even, and bulk, and really coming to a place where we can stop the tap of plastic and debris flowing in, and toxins. It's not just plastic, but plastic, especially since COVID, has exploded. And I read a study by the Pew Research Group that they figured that the amount of plastic would triple by 2040, and the flow of plastic in the water has actually tripled in the last 6 months since COVID, just because everybody all their habits have changed, and our national parks are being trashed, and I go to my state park and it's appalling. It's like there's a shift. It's so needed that we be able to bring this wisdom to the world now, in terms of being in alignment and in balance, and in stewardship of our planet and our water planet. So that's that's a lot, but I think our first step is to try to organize some kind of container to hold this wisdom that's coming in, and we've been calling it different names. I call it the Watershed Wisdom Institute because to me it really is about rising up the wisdom, and the watershed includes all the life in the watershed. It's the water's wisdom, but the watershed translates the water's wisdom into action. So it's through our own lives, our own expressions, how we act, how we interact with the natural world, and that is the wisdom. So I'm open to adjusting the name of these councils, and maybe they don't need just one name. Maybe, it doesn't really matter that much, but that we're able to, I think the most important thing is that we're able to stay informed as to what is happening all over the world in some kind of network. Once we get the kind of proof of concept and the template, it can be adjustable to every watershed. Guinea, West Africa is going to have very different concerns than Hawaii, but not that many because they're both tropical. Whereas if you then go to the Fraser River, it's going to be very different. And even in my own watershed, on the Sacramento watershed, the high country has very different needs than the valley floor, but they're all connected, right? And one of our biggest issues is legacy mercury from the gold mining, and so all those things can come, and there was gold mining on the Yukon, so they're probably dealing with the same issues, but it's Arctic instead of Mediterranean. So all these subtleties, each watershed can begin a process of triage in essence, and beginning to so Mount Shasta is still in my watershed. That is the headwaters of my watershed, and figuring out where the biggest threats are, where the biggest degradation is, where the biggest help is needed, and then being able to aggregate and mobilize that wisdom in a very fluid way. I mean, one of the things that I'm really seeing is how the biomimicry of the water structure itself is the structure of our watershed wisdom councils in terms of connectivity, and how you can be in the watershed wisdom council, and to me again that one supersedes, but the same network could start on the meta design, or the arts and entertainment, or the science, or if you're a scientist and not an artist, you can then start a branch of a science council, but they're still in the same watershed and they're still talking to each other. And a key to this structure is the plenipotentiary, which is the one member, which is in Buckminster Fuller and Barbara Marx Hubbard's 12 around 1 model. That's what his Buckminster Fuller's model of the geodesic dome was the 12 around 1. And so the 1 is the plenipotentiary that represents to the next concentric of the watershed. So from South Yuba to the Feather to the Sacramento. So there's rings of influence that are connected by the plenipotentiary, and the plenipotentiary is not speaking their own voice. They speak honestly and authentically the voice of their council. And if they need to break a tie, they're an odd. They're always the odd number, so that they can break a tie if need be, depending on how the groups want to create their agreement structure, whether it's consensus or unanimous or whatever it is. So anyway, these are all the subtle details that I'm starting to put down on paper, and that's going to keep me busy for the next little while. And I would love everybody's input, and I'll, when I get a draft, I'll put it out and open it up for feedback. So it really is collective wisdom in terms of what these councils, the potential of what these councils can have for the planet. And they're not just the spiritual; they can also have a representative of the local governance water district board, and then also all the way to the state capital and the Department of whatever environment or whatever. Different states have different departments that are responsible for the water. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with regards specifically to the World Watershed Councils. And I see the Watershed Wisdom Councils as being a bridge between like the governance and the World Water Law, or a World Water Law. I like that. And really where we need to get to, which is where GLOW is focusing, is on the planetary cleanup. We have to not just change our behavior with what we're using and putting into the watershed, because everything will go to the ocean eventually, right? That's just as the way of gravity. And so stopping, like I'm looking at my own life, like my plastic toothbrush. Everybody has a plastic toothbrush. What's the alternative to that? I'm making my own yogurt, but I still have the plastic gallon containers. So can I get glass containers? It's all these things we start looking at in our cloth bags. You can't bring cloth bags to the store, but I just have people leave the groceries in the cart and take the groceries to my car and bag them in my car, right? So there, just this kind of hacking of our own habits to and then having a social network that we can keep this flow of wisdom coming, or we make videos about it and continue to aggregate judgment. And when an action is needed, like in Mount Shasta, we have an existing network that one email can go out and people that are called can be there to support, or letter writing campaigns, or whatever it is that we're, that someone in Hawaii can be supporting Mount Shasta because they're connected, right? And so that's my flow, because the World Water Law is basically just words unless it's supported by the will of the people. It's an abstract, right? It's enforced to whatever degree the people hold the governance accountable to enforce it. And it's nothing without that. And someone can come in, such as our present situation, and try to completely strip the environmental protections, the Clean Water Act, all these things. It's like, whoa! And people have to be able to wake up and say, no, that law is important to us as people, as the environment, as the world. And on the other side, the very tangible problem of the waste already in our watersheds, already in our oceans. How do we get that out? Because the cetaceans, the dolphins, the whales, they're crying for it. They need it out. We need to deal with that. That's a huge imperative. So how do we bridge that gap, sort of between the ideal of a law and the practical reality of cleaning up our shit? So to me, the watershed wisdom councils are that bridge. And bridges, they look all sorts of different ways depending on which water body they're crossing, right? You can have the Moon Bridge and you can have the Golden Gate Bridge, and they're still a bridge. So thank you for this opportunity, and I thank you for all of you for showing up and being present for this, and because I see that each one of us have a very specific piece to offer, and it's so beautiful in how it's weaving together, that our genius is already rising and interweaving in a beautiful way.
I'd love to share in this space also.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, let me put you on speaker. Okay, Glow wants to share something. Can you guys hear all right? Okay, go for it, Glow.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear her? Okay, speak loud.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you so much, Elizabeth, for just speaking everything, all the truth, and everyone up here today. I just got word from Leah, the singer from Rising Appalachia, that she wants to share and help with this water video for Shasta and just in general. And she feels like she's already a famous musician, so it's so beautiful. And she's here now. She's going to do a workshop here. And I just want to recognize and just speak a little bit more about what Elizabeth was saying about protecting water and like basically united as one. So I feel it's really beautiful, and I would love to be able to figure out how we can weave this together. And everyone, like Danny wants to make a video series, and how can we really unify these videos and under one platform, with everyone has their own way of doing things, but still be able to actually expand and reach to 7 billion people. I was just on a call with Make a Change World yesterday, and they're focused on reducing waste and also a cleanup in Bali in the rivers. So it's really amazing in that sense that they have a platform of 140,000. So they're open to seeing how we can collaborate in the future. As well, we have a lot of opportunity here. There's amazing people here in Costa Rica that want to share this story as well. So really wanting to weave these things together. And as Elizabeth said, it's it's time to turn off the plastic faucet. What the water has been telling me is, it sounds crazy, but water is life, water has life, and oil is death, and plastic is made from oil. So this is my highest mission to provide solutions and make it easier for people to shift from using plastic into using other options like bamboo, and also supporting businesses, because it's really about shifting our market into the local economy and from Procter & Gamble away from the 1% who are putting all of our tax money into warfare, instead we could be putting that into our wisdom councils, into the land, into the water, into protecting these watersheds, and really providing for everyone, providing abundance for all. So it's really about just shifting the entire story that we are living in right now, or shifting our entire reality of this earth that we're on. So I want to just express my gratitude and want to be able to figure out how we can continue this water council, and I would love to be a member of the water council, and I would love to have all of you speak in these video series. I would love to figure out how we can just create a short video even just about the water council and the world water law, and then figure out how we can weave that into the global solutions documentary. And thank you, Danny, for speaking about this water connection. I would love to, I don't know if you're still here, but I'd love to experience that, to really see what is the highest call of water for me in my life, and what is the next step, or being able to awaken and to really create the life of my dreams, and the life that we want to live for this planet and for everyone, each being, each plant, each cell, each organism, and being able to tell the story of this holographic nature, as Jay was saying, and have this essence of the water consciousness as well, as Elizabeth has been
having a group to just focus on how we want to kind of weave the story together. I might be going to sit down with a bunch of screenwriters right now. They're artists, and so I'm hoping to start writing something new to be able to film here in Costa Rica. And I'd love to continue the container of having it just to see how we can expand our media presence, because this is really what is needed. We can speak to each other right now. We're, I don't know, a group of 8, but if you're speaking to one person, we have the ability to speak to 1 billion. As you know, by 2022, 8 billion people will be online. So really, this unity consciousness is coming, and it's time now to share that message of unity and share it to 7 billion people. So this is the call to action. And I'm just grateful for you all being here and for sharing your message and really calling in support to actually push this forward into something expansive.
Thank you, love. That was beautiful. Very beautiful. And Glow and I are already working on a document for this, these vignettes, this solution, pollution solution. And so we'll continue to keep people updated as that goes.
I guess I could give a little update about the water protector tour, and you spoke about the cleanup. A friend of mine he's actually in Guatemala at the Fungi Academy, and he's currently looking at ways how mushrooms can clean up water, because they're so intelligent, and they can transmute plastic and oil and things that are like on the soil. So now he's looking at ways at how we can do that with water, because he's at Lake Atitlan and the water there is very polluted. Yeah, so that's his project. So I can definitely maybe include him or speak more about him and the work he's doing, and see if we can tie it in with because I think that'll be a really beautiful solution, is using mushrooms to clean up the water. That'd be so great.
Mushrooms and natural enzymes.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess, I'll tell you a little bit about the tour. So I met Michael, who's the executive producer. He's also based in Nevada City, and he's been doing the tour. He did one last year, and this year was supposed to be a range of 30 different events, which we had to sort of change because of COVID. So now we're just focusing on 2 events, which is the one Earthstock event on the 16th of August in Nevada City, and then the Mount Shasta event on the 26th of September. And what we're really trying to do is, we don't want to be an entity on our own. We want to just rather, be a coalition and basically connect all the dots, because there's so many people that are doing amazing work right now, and we want to basically bring them together, because I think that's our greatest strength right now, is collaboration and co-creation. And so he's very connected with Indigenous communities. So we've been communicating with them and just giving reverence and acknowledgement that they are the original water protectors of the lands, and just learning from their wisdom. And so the tour is really about getting workshops and speakers about, the energetic intelligence of water, providing solutions, telling people about, to stop using toxic chemicals on their skin and in their bathrooms and in their gardens, because that's all going back into the water. So just providing awareness, but making it more fun, and using art and music to entice people to come and to really just have a marriage between sacredness and activism and art, because I think that's always the best way to sort of bring people in, because otherwise people can get a bit overwhelmed when you start just talking about the problems all the time. So we've got a few really good artists that are super conscious and that are really for the waters, that are going to be bringing in some of the numbers. And then we're going to be having a lot of workshops, and I think it's a great opportunity to provide this information and knowledge about the the energetic intelligence of water, because a lot of people just don't know about it. And the only one thing that people agree on is that they want clean water. Like, it's like, no matter what background or country or race or age you are, like, everyone knows the importance of clean water. And that's like the one thing I think that really connects us all, and it's going to be the one thing that's going to really bring people together in the the fight for clean water. And we don't want it to be a sort of like the call to action in Shasta. We don't want it to be a protest against something or anything that's associated with anger in any way, because I think a lot of the protests with Black Lives Matter and stuff may have that energy, and we want to rather it's a call to action for something, for water rights. And so currently Crystal Geyser are basically they're basically draining the aquifers at Mount Shasta, doing about 500 million bottles a day, and then shipping it off to China. And so a lot of the local indigenous people are suffering, and the people that are living there are also suffering because a lot of this water is being taken and being privatized. And the town of Weed next door have lost their water rights to a timber company. And so that's what we're facing at Shasta. And the executive producer, Michael, actually met up with the mayor of Shasta because they were spraying Monsanto Roundup in the garden, in the park at the headwaters. And he was like, that's going back into the water, right? And she was like, oh, I didn't really think about that. And she called him up actually a couple of days ago and said to him, because of what you said, we've stopped using the Roundup. So it was like a small victory, but a big victory in a way as well, because that was tainting the water for so many people. And I know people all over the world that go to Shasta to collect the water. And so it just shows you just raising awareness and letting these people that are in charge know about what's going on, because people are just unfortunately just don't have that awareness. And then another thing that we're focusing on is the Sacramento Delta, which is it's a really huge waterway in California and provides water for so many different farmers, and the land there is super fertile, and the soil and everything is so good because of the amount of amazing water that's there. And an industrial company wants to come in, and they want to basically pump out 6,000 gallons per minute of water into industrial development in Southern California. And I went to the Sacramento Delta meeting, and there was a lot of indigenous people there talking about and protesting against why this will actually really ruin their livelihood, because that's, the land that they live on and the water that they use is just so important to them. So it was like basically like 100 people protesting against the two people that were like part of the developers, and hearing the reasons about why this isn't good. And so that's another thing we're bringing attention to, because no one knows about the Sacramento Delta at all. And we're currently actually working with an environmental lawyer who has been working on the case, and we want to bring it to litigation. So not only are we like doing these events, but we're actually hoping to really take these things to the next level and to court. And the last issue is in Nevada City, there's a company called the NID, which are like the National Irrigation District, and they have been spraying Monsanto Roundup along the water canals for the past 20 or so years. And so we're actually now, we went to their meetings and we brought it up with them, and the council that are part of the NID, two of the women are like wanting to change it, but the men are just like, well, we've been doing this forever, and they're just super like, not wanting to change anything. So we basically are we're making a little documentary series about it, about what the NID are doing, because they're going to actually have like a big vote within their council. And so we just need to sway 2 more members to actually get this thing changed or transformed in some way. So we're doing that as well. And those are like the 3 major issues that we're facing, and that we're bringing awareness around the Sacramento Delta. And yeah, really wanting to bring in the sacred aspect, and reminding people about, it's not just about activism. It's not just about that. It's about connecting with it on a spiritual level and just allowing people to know that information, because I think once people know just how complex and sacred water is, I think that they'll feel more called to provide, to actually implement some of these solutions that we're giving them. So yes, I'm super excited to be part of this Wisdom Council with you all, and hopefully bring Michael in as well, because he actually went to Shasta and he spoke to Spirit. He was like, guide me what to do, and the water said, I need you to protect me. So he's like dedicating his whole life to this. So I think it would be really great to include him as well. And Jen Isabel Friend is another woman who's been doing water retreats and water activism around the world, and I think I'm going to invite her as well, because I think she'd be a great addition. And I think, just bringing all the water protectors together, I think we can really do something powerful. And I'm super blessed and honored to be here with you all, and I thank you so much for all your service and for everything that you're doing for the planet, for Mama Gaia, and for the waters. Like, I'm super grateful and blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tess. That's a powerful share. There's a lot there to unpack. So if anybody, I think, Jay, if somebody's in the group, they can invite someone else in, or is it just the admins that can do that?
Oh no, I'm much more open than both of those options. For me, it's just open, public. You just click on the link. Everyone across the entire world can join without anybody giving them permission. So it is just a drag. That's the email Google group. So that's a starting point for just connecting with the Water Unity group. And then from there are so many other groups going on, and trying to organize and connect them, all the other ones. I have a few things I'd love to respond, but if anyone else wants to jump before me.
I just like your question. Tess, can you just say, what is Michael's last name?
DiMartino.
Okay.
I put it in the chat.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, and just adding to kind of that thread, I have Mamadou Kande, who I'm representing, and that's basically all of West Africa at this point in terms of where he's starting his our water work in Guinea, West Africa, but it will very quickly start going outwards from West Africa to the whole continent of Africa. So Albina, I'd love to connect with you with regards to East Africa in terms of creating these watershed wisdom councils in Africa.
Okay. Nice. So wow, lots of exciting things going on here. I just want to do a couple of responses. So one, I just looked up the series session. It's on Monday, August 17th. So I believe it's exactly 2 weeks from now. It is 5 or 6 a.m. is the primary alignment, and then so we could do about the 11 a.m. again. So it'll just be 2 weeks from now, Monday, August 17th, 11 a.m. should about line up. We could do it earlier if we wanted, but I know that folks from Hawaii and everything would be good to stick around the same 11 a.m. time. But that's just whatever. It's just a roll of the dice that all of these planetary sessions, since we've been getting involved, are all happening basically in the middle of the night for us, and then we kind of just meet a little bit after in the morning for us. So but eventually it'll be all the whole other way around. It'll be in the middle of the night, on a whole nother levels, and then we can play with different time and try to get other people from around the world involved. So that's that. Then one, I want to make it really clear to Tess and my understanding of what's going on, that one of the primary goals, and this also relates to pressuring people working on a world water law or any world water law, that our goal is full-fledged water sovereignty, to recognize water as an intelligent, conscious contribution with humanity. So that is very important to be sharing and continuing, because I feel like we've implied it today, but I just want to make sure we say it very clearly. That's one of the primary goals of the World Water Wisdom Institute and councils and everything we've been talking about, right? So from there, I want to also remind us, like, for me, there's all the people changing our actions. There is all the businesses changing their policies and how they, provide for the, the people and the groups. And then you have all the legislatures, and we're just constantly bringing up new possible water laws and the legislatures and decision making with the governments. And then there's also the courts. I feel like the courts, everything ends up in courts at some point when you're talking about this level of transformation, in the society. So I really want to thank, Tess for bringing that up. And I think Jan really understands that as well. So it's going to be coming back over and over again as we continue this journey together. So briefly, I wanted to cover, 2 or 3 other things. And I also want to come back to the Water Institute. So there's really 2 or 3 other things here. But the first thing I want to go over, because we come to it so many times, is this idea of the Great Cleanup, the Great Planetary Cleanup, cleaning up water systems. My background in sustainability, I've been extremely involved in all of the waste management, and it just goes on and on, and I go on forever. But I want to give you guys my perspective on that, even though it's slightly a tangent from the Water Unity, water planning group. But for me, I feel like it is coming up so much. I just want to share my perspective. So briefly, there's 2 parts, and I call this the general concept of the sustainability cycle. I don't know. I have links and videos and everything for it. But the primary concept is to end landfill entirely, and the concept of waste entirely across the entire world. Right, that is the focal point. Without being able to completely just eliminate the concept of landfill, it just doesn't work. Okay, so landfill gone, poof. So what do you have instead? You have what we would call resource cycling centers. Everything goes to resource cycling centers, and it's indefinitely cycled. Whether it's compost, upcycling, downcycling, recycling, it's endless. There's just infinite possibility in technology and new ways of co-creating and building and working with cycled resources is endless. So from there, the second most important thing, and that completely retransforms the whole economy, because you're basically, every single product that ends up basically sitting around in waste, right, or ends up at the cycling centers, is a cost to the business that's creating it. Right? So you want to create something that's just going to end up sitting somewhere. That's not a freebie anymore. You have to pay for that. And that's going to affect the cost benefit analysis of every single product that's created, so that you would automatically benefit any and every single product that is created with, within a systemic approach that supports all of the environment, is in balance with the environment. And so it's an economic foundational transformation, so that you address every single product simultaneously across the entire planet. Why do one at a time? It's just that, it takes so much effort to do that. And then it also allows for instantaneous transformation, where you have whether it's years or decades for the businesses to turn around, they can, and the businesses that do it the quickest will have the best advantages. So from there, the second part that is essential is the idea of ending the concept of non-point source pollution. So in environmental systems, you have point source pollution and you have non-point source pollution. And point source pollution is basically, you have a smokestack and you can see the pollution going up into the air, and it's like, boom, there it is. That's the point of pollution. Whereas a car, for example, is non-point source because it's just randomly driving on the road, or a blow or a tractor, or a chemical plant just like producing some random chemicals that go into water. It's like not tracked. So it's so simple to end non-point source pollution in its relationship to polluting water. You just track it. It's that simple. So it's like literally, like, this is a separate process, but it's literally creating a massive, and you could do this on blockchain or with ledger technology, of just endlessly tracking any and all potential sources of pollution and ending the concept of non-point. Basically, non-point source pollution would be illegal because it destroys the environment and is against the natural systems of everything that we do and stand for. And then that can be tokenized, whether it's carbon systems, tokenization. And so you can build an economic system where you have a beneficial modeling of both tracking and reducing your pollution, but also you can balance it, offset it. So it's just like creating a system-wide approach to any and all potential pollution models, so that you can transform it all simultaneously. So that's basically the directions that I've been going on that particular concepts. because trying to clean up individual watersheds, trying to clean up individual types of resources, like just plastic or just this, there's so many problems. And I mean, how many chemicals do we have? Like 80,000 different chemicals and compounds that are being created, and we're creating tens of thousands every year. The idea of creating a separate law for each one is just too much. So the two other things is that, one, in terms of the Wisdom Water Institute, I love it. There's two reasons I love the idea, because it can easily umbrella all the different councils, all the different ideas, parliaments, all the different projects within that framework. And then that would be umbrellaed by the broader water unity. And so the foundation, when I mentioned before, of creating an organization would be just simply a membership, who gets a vote, and basically why they have that vote, and then what is the decision making threshold? Is it majority? Is it what level? So then once you have those two components, then you can make any decision you want to, including the name, and evolving everything from there. So budgets, whatever. So that would be an encouragement. Maybe we could work towards that over the next few sessions. And then lastly, something that resonated with me in terms of this idea of the global water parliament, thinking about oceans being primary, is that I feel like in some ways watersheds and the way we talk about it, potentially, I'm not saying that I know this, but that they're potentially a little bit fragmented, because if you think what Elizabeth was saying, it all flows to the ocean. Everything flows to the ocean, and all the pollution's going to the ocean, and the cetaceans and the dolphins and the killer whale, all of them are crying out to end this just endless onslaught of millions of gallons of waste and pollution going from the riverways into the oceans. And so if you look at, for example, the California Central Coast and the Monterey Bay Sanctuary, and that this whole area, the Sacramento Delta and the Sacramento watershed, although it is in and of itself a beautiful, massive entity, its connection to the rest of the world is the Central California Coast Ocean Bay. Well, we need a good name for it, whatever the name would be. But like that ocean area, that beach area and the ocean area is getting polluted from that. And it's interesting because for me and all the waterways that I described, that we're all the same. We're all one in that sense, that we're all one of the San Francisco Bay Area. We're all one of the Monterey Bay, and all of us in those areas here are all connected through that and would be on that same part of the global parliamentary representation. So for me, that was kind of exciting and resonating, that actually me and Elizabeth aren't far away. We're actually together in the same space, and then Danielle is not that far away. She's only a few, on terms of whole coastal areas, it's only a few up the coast, right? So for me, it just connects us all closer together if we see those bigger patterns of connections. Check and check and check.
I love the oceanic parliament. Yeah, because that is our key imperative. That is where all our misbehavior is collecting as humans. And it is possible for our water currents and our water cycle to take a even bigger planetary pause than we've taken here. Our currents can shut down or reverse, or they can do all sorts of things if we put enough stress on the system, as we are doing now. And basically the UN has told us that we have 12 years, and that was 2 years ago, right? So this is the imperative, and is to solve some of these and find ways that we can do it in critical mass like this. And one of the simple things that I saw the other morning was just changing our pronouns, right? We have preferred pronouns, and if we could, even just for a month, practice using the pronouns of we and ours and us instead of the and mine and I and me. And I've been trying it, and it's challenging. How do you say what you want to say as an individual and still include the pronouns of we, ours, and us? Because we're so, especially in our lineage of Western European and into America, we're so focused on the individual that we're just not used to really thinking as a collective. And so I think it would be good practice for us just to try it out, see what shows up for us as an experiment.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'd love to jump in here because I know this came up in our conversation yesterday, where I was, and I think that it no longer feels awkward to use the we and the us when we have embodied our relationship with water. Just to clarify, I was sharing with Elizabeth that in my journey, so 10 years I've been in apprenticeship with water, capital W, and over 45 elder trees, forests, and bodies of water around the world. And when I'm looking back and tracking the changes for me personally, there was a point last year where it was obvious. This was when I formed my second primary interbeing relationship. This is with Nokopila. She's a 400-year-old wild fig tree who lives in Cape Town, South Africa. She's known internationally as the all-healing mother tree. When I formed my second one, my first one was with Ishtako Fraser River, my river. When I formed the second one, I realized that I was out no longer in apprenticeship. I'd graduated to conscious partnership with these two beings and others. And I realized that all the work that I do, both direct as an artist or as a facilitator and mentor, etc., that these partnerships, these embodied, committed relationships I'm in with Ishtako Fraser and with Nokopila, that they are that we are a we now. It used to be me conversing with them with me, we learning together, friends, lovers, partners, colleagues, like all these other labels. And even with Fraser, for example, I was working in China for 2 years, and in between I came back. I went to visit him in Tijan, where I love. He's most pure, comes out of the mountain. And I was explaining to him some of the challenges I was having around leadership over there. And I just said spontaneously, said to him, I said, geez, I wish I could bring you with me. And he directed me to sit in this peninsula that went out into his flow, and he literally filled himself in me. And so we actually rarely talk to each other anymore. He's so integrated here with me, as Nokopila is that it is really now we are the ones that are speaking. And so this is what came to mind for me with all the wake up around white supremacy and systemic racism and people identifying and stating their pronouns. I realized, oh my goodness, I really do need to introduce myself in this way, but it's an ownership of our recognition of my interbeing relationship with water and trees and with all of nature. So it really comes back to, it's wonderful as an experiment. And I think that would also, that with this embodiment process of embodying ourselves and as a water being, that it will become really natural. Just as every time we hear the word water council, we know water is on that council, not just from inside of ourselves, but water has its own place and its own direct voice as well. So beautiful. Thanks for bringing that in, Elizabeth.
I would like to kind of give us some next steps for each other if we want to offer, and it's not me telling you what your next steps are, it's you finding your next steps inside of yourself. And so I'll begin. I'm going to continue with Glow in terms of defining our media work, and I will put together a draft. I guess it's more like a prospectus, I suppose. I'm not sure the term, but it's not really a proposal yet. It's just a draft document of declaration of intent, I suppose, in terms of how I see a model working, and then for the Watershed Wisdom Councils, and then you each can contribute your own, and we'll pull it together. So I'm happy to take the lead on that. If you want to email me, or just I'll start a thread on our Water Unity Google group that's specific to that, and so we just keep that conversation to that thread. So if you have thoughts, just add it. Even if it's the middle of the night, just pop it in there, and we'll gather all that collective wisdom. And then I'm going to meet with Tess this week in terms of really solidifying our local watershed connection. I have to say it was a wonderful, I met Tess through a humanitarian administration meeting that suddenly turned to water, and Glow invited me, and Tess was on, and we found out we're in the same watershed, so we kept the conversation going after that. That administrative meeting turned into a water meeting, and it became a local water meeting with Tess and myself, and she invited Michael to come on. And I realized I know Michael because he's a musician, so I've danced to his music, and we've chatted about, and I kind of knew him before the Shasta, the Sacramento Headwaters spoke to him. And so I haven't made the water connection fully with him, so I'm going to meet with her, Tess and Michael. And it has so happened that Michael, I don't even know where he was, but he was having dinner with a guy named Mitch, who is actually, I knew right away, Mitch is my son's very best friend from childhood. So what are the chances of all that, right? So that's just a beautiful example of how the current is moving us to where we need to be, and that we can really trust this process is really creating us as a species. And because we are listening, as Danelia said, we're activating the water field. We're amplifying the water field. We're raising the tide of humanity in this very process, and becoming the imaginal selves of the heart of humanity. That we are the first cells that start beating in sympathy with each other, and begin forming the heart of, right at the time where an embryo starts forming into a fetus. The heart is the first thing that forms, and so really we are forming the heart of humanity, as so many other people are as well. That this is so incredibly widespread, and not just water, but as we know, no water, no nothing other than rocks and sunshine. So those are kind of my task lists. I'm just going to keep going with what I've already got going, and we'll create a couple of conversations in our Water Unity group on a more organizational manner. Oh, and also Jay put out a message that he's hoping to do another World Water Law open space sometime in August, but he doesn't have the date yet. So we'll keep that in mind too. And the more we can not just meet together, but meet in separate groups and continue to spread and diversify the spread of the message. I think it's important. I love that at last open space we had Danelia, myself, and Jim all hosting sessions, all different, all gathering, dispensing and gathering, right? And I say that if there's anybody needs from me, don't hesitate to ask in terms of emails or meetings, or understanding how the platforms are working or whatever. So that's part of my task list, is really to draw this core tighter and sort of more committed to our purpose. So the blessing bowl is opening up.
Just to answer the last question about the direct contact for the World Water Law. So Jan, as well as other folks, are in the World Water Unity email Google group. So if you send an email, like anyone can send an email to the Water Unity Google group to give updates and announcements or information. It's an open space to do that, and that goes to everyone who's on there, including the people from World Water Law. And there's more connections there. Yes.
Yeah. So I put their direct emails in the chat for Jan and Shelley. Jan seems to be more logistical, and Shelley seems to be more the energetic and yeah. So.
Okay, I can go next. Woohoo! Yeah. So one is I'm continuing offering the free sessions in the one-on-one sessions in the water field. So I extend that invitation to you or someone you might come across your path going, geez, I'm wrestling with this thing. It's making me crazy. So it's really, really oriented for that kind of person. So feel free to email me. The exchange is you'll get a survey at the end to just where I'm just still tracking what are these, how they can serve, and the different forms that they take. So I am continuing with that, and I am putting that information, getting that information on my website along with these other new water offerings. The video series is on my highest courage list. And of course, always the flow happens if I make it creative and fun and add music as well as the speaking pieces. So I am committed to doing that. And if we're going to be regathering in 2 weeks, my goodness, I could probably have most of them done if I actually just did them. But and I mean, I've actually even listed the topics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, there's 10. There's 10. So I'm not sure what I'm committed to saying that I will have done by then. The lowest estimate, I would say, I will have 5 done by then. So that's my commitment to my. All of our water bodies. I can feel them going, yay, Dalia, come on. And then, yeah, the Water Council. So I've been musing on what's the invitation. So what I'm going to be drafting, which is part of this putting things down in writing, will be the invitation to the Pilot Water Council, and some of the maybe values or principles even. One of the things that I want to recap or recall from a conversation Elizabeth and I had yesterday, that she said something that stuck with me, and I know it to be true, which is why I keep guided towards the creativity and fluid, etc., is that we're creating an organism, not an organization. I know that organizations are needed. I know we need the structure, the masculine, the rooted, that sort of thing. And I believe that for the most part at this time, what we're developing is resiliency, and resiliency comes from flexibility, and flexibility comes from being in the I don't know field more than an I know field, and allowing the mystery to guide us and develop trust and faith. So I will craft the invitation for that, and that dovetails a bit with Elizabeth, your piece as well, in terms of offering potentially these embodied ways of exploring. So it's embodying ourselves as a water body is kind of the initiatory pathway that I believe I'm meant to be crafting. So sessions in the Waterfield video series. Oh yes, and this workshop, these 4 questions, it really is the embody your water body. So again, that specific pathway, I need to craft that in writing. So I commit to doing that. And then the other thing that's just really super exciting for me is I'm going to connect with Maya afterwards, and I've reached out to Tess, and I've reached out to Dana. And again, I just see how when I gather my courage and just trust what my piece is, not try to change it into something that looks like what other people do to be more acceptable, that these opportunities show up. And so that's my personal commitment with water, to be showing up in my human world with my water experience and awareness. And music, water music. And I wanted to just say that also Elizabeth invited my Thank You Water CD, which I'm happy you listened to some of it. And so to feature me on the front page of Loving Waters and the Thank You Water CD, and all that music came from these ceremonial dialogues and relationships with the bodies of water that are listed on the CD. So yeah, thank you very much for that invitation to just be me. Yay! I can do that.
I will reinforce that I've invited Denalia to come to the We Are Rising Tide this coming Thursday, so she'll show up and play with us in that field. And the way to get that is just connectionfielddigest.org, register. You'll get the Zoom link. And there's all sorts of other incredible offerings that are remarkable. And sometimes I'll get on at 6 o'clock in the morning and be on for half the day. So, it's just, So this coming Thursday will be a treat.
I think I might even be calling it "I'm coming out of the water closet."
I love that.
Jeez. That's too funny. So I can go next, and I also wanted to respond briefly. Like, I think it's important in terms of like what I'm seeing. It's just jaw-dropping, the just sheer vision and possibilities. And I mean, in some ways it's like it's a little too much, and I'm not saying that I have any idea about anything. Like, I'm not a expert on everything detailed. I just have and all the beings with me, and the experiences and all that. But I've been involved in many movements, and I've seen just the complete overload and the complete distribution, and it's it can be over cumbersome. Like it can take the movement in a direction that eventually fades, So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing or anything like that. I'm just saying that the same mistakes for many movements have happened many times over. I think we're in a different place at this point in time in consciousness and human history and everything. So it's very exciting, and I hope to see a change. But I am completely on the page where if this takes multiple generations and this takes 100 more years or 200 more years, I don't care how long it takes. We have to be successful, right? If this fails, then we keep going, right? It's like they say of Black Lives Matter, fail again, fail better, right? Like it's endless. So in the context of the modeling that I'm working in terms of unity methodology and transformational concepts, it's not about creating organizations. I actually don't even create organizations. I haven't created organizations for a decade or more, right? I create multi-organizational entities, networks, and these broader complexes and of resilient frameworks that all are connected together in a cohesive, intentional way. And the key is that there's intention, right? They are building intention. You're having a clear purpose and cohesive vision between the people who are involved. And so the idea of creating a organization is the same concept of creating a water law, that an organization in of itself serves a purpose. Similarly, I look at it as the concept of having a computer. You have a computer, you use your computer, eventually it's not working anymore, you get rid of it, you go on to your next computer. It's literally, it's not in and of itself something that is of the priority. The priority is the network and the movement and the collaboration of all the beings, the sovereign beings, and the representations of the sovereign water, etc. So, but the organizations do provide a tool that you can't accomplish certain goals without that. And for me, there's no problem. We could easily create 5, 10, 15 organizations all at once at the snap of a finger, and just have those as tools to be able to utilize. It doesn't have to be a single organ. In fact, I would actually encourage not to do a single organization. And then when Elizabeth talks about all these possible names, for me, I'm just saying all these possible organizations, if not all of them simultaneously, to build this cohesive structure. So the membership meeting we had earlier today from our session kind of goes over some of that in terms of how to functionally organize multiple simultaneous organizations and memberships. It's doable. So anyways, with that said, I have lots on my task list, helping support the getting and writing, some of the organizational constructs, helping encourage people to get into the various email groups, and making sure that we're scheduling maybe halfway between, maybe next week, same time, we could do the halfway point of just like a little staff logistical stuff, and then keep doing the outreach and the communications with all that. Yes, I think that's pretty much the main things for me. And just, I could throw in there, taking a walk to the rivers or the bay. Why not? Let's do it. Check. Oh, and also, if anyone has anything they want to put on the website, we can do that. I mean, I would love to spend time maybe in the logistics meeting next week. We could talk about like all the different videos we want to get up there, as well as links to different websites. There's just, for the Water Unity website. Check.
Thank you, Jay.
And let me also end, instead of just saying check, blessings and love and flow, and like, you guys are all amazing. This was incredible. I'm just so delighted to be in connection. Yes, love.
Check was okay. It's all right. What was just coming through for me very strongly is, again, this visually, the concept of connection, how we are all connecting. We are all our individual projects, such a unique shard of this big crystal, and it's all coming together. And so that I feel like the work is just going to evolve through these connections. Like I met with Kimberly was her name last week, and already 2 big projects have merged together and had given voice to each other. So I just feel that this is continuing. So on my end, I really want to get my website up. I don't like designing websites, but I'm going to just put it up there because I feel that's a voice for this work as well through the temple. So I said I whipped out the Facebook this weekend, so it exists, and I'm dedicating Wednesday to water. So anyone, again, that wants to come through there. I do have my radio show that I put the link up there. I offer a weekly radio show on an online format, which is of my choosing. So it's about living in this conscious world and creating this new world, basically weaving new threads into this new foundation. So certainly if anyone feels a calling to come on, it's just a call-in show. I'll put the number up. So I would invite that every Tuesday, 10 o'clock here in this beautiful little space. So yes, so I will continue to just open space to voice all of these beautiful projects and work on connection. So blessings, love, and check.
Thank you. Kimberly, that was her name.
Kimberly, yes.
Can you include her email? Because I didn't capture it at our session. And
I will get my notes and grab it and put it up there.
Thank you. So I guess Albina dropped off. Does anybody else, Dana or Tess, do you want to add any kind of closing statements or to-do list? Thank you, Maya.
I also have a separate launching called the Gaia Warrior. I'm basically it's a platform to be plastic free and different people's projects. I'm currently interviewed a woman that's, saving the bees and the butterflies. So anything that's basically earth related, that's doing good things for the planet or different projects. I'm launching that channel soon. So yeah, if anyone wants to connect with me, also I'd love to connect with you on that. And I'm really just looking forward to collaborating with you all more. And I feel super honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tess. Yeah, I'd like to, we have lots to talk about when we meet. Suggest we meet by the river.
Yes, I would love that.
Dana, are you still with us?
I am, but I'm kind of preparing for my next thing. I'm having to sort of transition into getting ready for something I have coming up soon.
Okay, beautiful. All right. Well, I think we've gone 2.5 hours. Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's over when it's over, right? And it is never over. The water keeps flowing. So we'll just take a minute to just kind of breathe together as we conspire. Just feel our breath. The root of conspire is actually breathing together. Feeling that water, that original blueprint, that divine design that water has constructed us from, as water constructs a massive oak tree from an acorn. And really honoring as we begin to think about the rights of nature, really honoring the original rights of water, to be water and to flow as water wishes to flow. The reason why the delta is so fertile is because it flooded. It used to flood every year. For me, I just really honor the Sacramento watershed flowing in me south from the entire state, north and south, all empties into the delta. As Jay pointed out, then flows down the coast. Thank you all. We are together. We are us. We are water.
I honor and give thanks to each and every water being who has been here with us. Great sacred water, I've felt your love and partnership elevate the field of our time together and help each of us to flow our love and our passion and our excitement so freely with each other. So hi and thank you. Have an awesome, awesome day, and we'll see you again. Blessings.
encourage, if you have some water with you, just put a little bit of that water just on your heart. Feel the moisture on your skin. Touch it. Feel the coolness that immediately lifts off our skin. And feel that water permeating your cells, coming in through your skin. And feel that communication. I can float here all day. Love you all. I'll post the chat. I'll save the chat and post the audio of this. I don't generally post the video, just post the audio.
Okay. See you guys later.
Woohoo! Tess, do you have the possibility for visual or?
Yes, I do. I'm just currently working. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you all. I'm so happy to be here.
Beautiful.
Yay, team. Okay.
Yay,
have a blessed
team.
Sunday.
Bye. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Bye.
So next week, we'll meet next week.
Yeah, I'll throw out an invitation and.
You're on mute, love.
Oh, that's probably a good thing. Yeah, I'll throw out an invitation and put it on our in between calendar and the website. Yeah, we'll get it all going. Ideally, it would, if we did an hour earlier, it would be good for me.
I think that would be fine.
Cool. So it would be 10 a.m. Pacific time, and then I have a meeting at 12, which I skipped today just because this took much priority. So yeah,
It was so much fun.
Oh my goodness, so good. And it's like once you get into the flow, right? It's just you just send out, you have the email list, you send out the reminder, and then whoever shows up shows up. You know, you don't need everybody every time. So it is beautiful evolution. So yeah, we'll talk soon. I look forward to the evolution. We'll just invite everyone, anyone who wants to come and deal with the logistics. You know, usually it's not as many people. And then we'll also announce, and I'm getting the website set up for the series, so that'll be good. So blessings, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, and Jay, maybe we can expand the, we kind of broke off the administrative email group. So after next week, we can sort of get a sense of who really is interested in more logistics, so that if people aren't interested in logistics, they don't need to be necessarily part of that. I mean, certainly they're invited, but they don't need to be part of that.
Yeah, well, for me, I see so right now there's the two email groups. We have the group for the water planning group, which for me is sort of like the staffing and logistics of, you know, potentially creating an organization or a multi-organizational entity or whatever could evolve from that. I think I'm starting to see the whole Watershed Wisdom Institute. I think it's a perfect model because within the institute you could have many different organizations that are all working together. So that could be a really good model. And then the other group was the Water Unity networking group. So basically we would doing like a logistics for both at the same time. And for me, I feel like we do want to consider moving forward with scheduling two separate sessions. One specifically, like, because I mean, it's always intermixed, like the whole broader water unity and everything. It's just there's so much going on, and creating space for that because it is just necessary in relationship to the water movement and the unity evolution. So and then create another space for the water planning group. I mean, I would encourage us to have two separate meetings. And so that's really 3 meetings total. There's the logistics, / staffing group, and then you've got the overall, just like, let's just do updates of Water Unity, of all the different projects and what's going on, update the calendar, getting all the information out there, and then have a planning group on like the Watershed Wisdom Institute and or other organizations within the Institute. So for me, that they're 2 very different topics, and if we just created space for both, that would be the ideal. But again, we can talk about that next week and see how we want to involve that.
We're on the same page with that.
Yeah. So, and it could technically be the same meeting. Maybe just like the first half is like, let's get out all the ideas and just like, there's so much going on, and just let everyone release. And then the second half could be like, okay, let's hunker down a little bit on, so, or sometimes I like to do it the other way around, because you get all of the, organizational boring stuff out of the way, what most people, and then everyone else shows up afterwards, so that it's also doing it that we can think about both options. But it doesn't need to be super long. Like organizations, some people get tied up in it that everything can last forever and be endless, but doing 1 hour and then just hard stop, and then going on to the next is okay too, because then you just do another hour at another time. It doesn't all have to happen at once.
Yeah, and it encourages us to be concise.
Yeah, totally.
Good thing. All right.
Beautiful. Talk to you later.
I'm going to end it now.
Okay.
Love you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yes.